Welcome back. Episode 3. I spent my 30s on Instagram. I love that when I lean back, you can see that I'm wearing sweats. It's like cute up top, and then I just figured you wouldn't see the lower half of my body, so I went with sweats. And now I've exposed myself. The shame. Alas, here we are, episode 3. I spent my 30s on Instagram. That's just a little over a decade. Yeah. And about a week ago, on a whim-ish, kind of on a whim, kind of not on a whim, I decided to get off. I left it as it was and exited myself from the platforms of social media. And I did build my business on the back of social media, specifically on the back of Instagram. But to be fair, back in the day, it wasn't quite the toxic beast that it is now, but it did have all the potential. And since I exited from Instagram, I have been working harder than I ever have, and I have had zero business. I know. I didn't even kind of want to mention that because it's like a woe is me, and I don't know. But I feel like it's accurate, and to document this process and the story, that's the reality of it. Don't worry, I'm not a woe is me. I'm working my booty off, and I have really high hopes. Like I said, it's been 1 week. And so I'm going to keep chugging away and hustling and bustling and creating what I think is amazing content for my website, for that portal, that teacher-student portal that I crafted. And I have all of my certification programs, which is the majority of what I do these days, is certify teachers. So just keep chugging away. But that's the reality of it. And honestly, that's what held me back from getting off any sooner, was wondering if my business would survive without it. But if I had that frame of mind and let that frame of mind dictate even when I ever got off or left social media and Instagram, then maybe I never would. And that isn't sustainable for me. I've been daydreaming and playing with this idea of just walking away for a really long time. So that's what I did. Now, where we left off yesterday, I was talking about how I got that hook in me for yoga at my local studio on Maui. And I had my baby, and then I had my second baby. And I was with my two babies 100% of the time. And often it was just me. So I needed to figure out, because exercise is my love language, and fitness, and sport, I needed to figure out how I could stay active on a daily basis, pretty much, but be with my kids all the time. It was important to me to be, and it is important to me to be with my kids all the time, as much as possible. They're teenagers, or one's 13, one's 11. So I can't be with them all the time, but I get as much time as I can. I absolutely love being a mom, and it is 100% my top priority. I'm not saying that because I'm supposed to say that. I really, truly feel that way. And then, fitness and exercise and sport, those are one of my top functions in life. It's part of one of my biggest joys in life. And I feel like they're necessities as well, like a biological necessity for human beings. So for me to get a good night's sleep and eat well and have enough water, and I need to exercise, that's the way that I feel about it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The thing about yoga, whatever hooks you, whatever gets you hooked, you're going to get more from it than what you came for. So if you came purely for aesthetics and physicality, you'll get more than that. If you came for the emotional side and the mental aspect, you're going to get more than that. Whatever brought you to the mat, you're going to leave gaining more. And that's the true hook of it. For me, it gave me these coping mechanisms and emotional calm and control over myself and my reactions I didn't come necessarily for that, but my goodness, I didn't realize how much I needed that, I'd been in such a survival mode for most of my life. So yoga brought so much more. And this is why I think that the size of space and the access you have to the outside world to teach you what to do. There's so many facets of yoga. You can gain so much in so many directions, but really you just need a 2 foot by 6 foot space to practice it. No equipment. You can take it home with you. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't need big machinery. And that's sort of the brilliance. And then you're going to get this physical practice, but it's also going to have an emotional effect, a mental effect. So that's the hook of it, really. Instagram added this other element to the portal that is a yoga mat, and that was socialization and exposure and little nuggets of information and teaching that you could take and apply pretty easily. So as I got more and more exposed, the more skills I acquired, the more friends that I made, and the more exponential exposure that I gained as well. Now, after you have babies, let's talk about this for a second, because this is one of the moments on Instagram where I was like, I fucking need to get off this thing. I created the Core Values program, which is an incredible program, teaches you how to heal your core from the inside out and then build. And it takes into account any sort of trauma that could have been done to your core for whatever reason. And my main focus, but not my only focus, was on moms and healing after birthing, being pregnant and birthing. I had been talking about the Core Values program, and I referenced that after the trauma of giving birth, and I had some fitness dude comment saying, oh, now we're calling everything trauma. Now, I don't get too involved in those things because a statement like that is so ignorant that there's no point. You can't rationalize with a human like that. And a person like that, I was so disappointed in him. I was like, how dare you? Go apologize to your mother right now. You say that to a mom? I didn't say that giving birth was horrible or the worst thing ever. No, I just said I love to be a mom. It's the best thing ever. But physically, what you go through to carry a baby and then bring them into this world, yes, in every aspect, it can be trauma. It can be emotional trauma, post-traumatic. Your hormones can go crazy. It is definitely physical trauma that you have to heal from. And a lot of times we bypass that healing because obviously the priority is the babies. We feel that too as mothers, and we put ourselves on a way back burner. Years later, we're just living with some of the things that never got healed properly. It can be so traumatic. I had a lot of women respond from his comment talking about internal bleeding, almost losing their lives, going septic, complete tears. And then there's just the most minor, what would be considered a really healthy, successful birth. I feel pretty damn lucky. I got to have natural births, no major complications, just gluing some tears, sewing some tears. But fuck yeah, it's trauma. I couldn't believe that one. That one really was just like, dude, seriously go apologize to your mother. Yes, giving birth and carrying a baby is traumatic. We have to heal from it. Look up the definition of what trauma means emotionally and physically. Like I said, I don't think that that's like, oh, it was so traumatic. I never want to do that again. No, but physical trauma, yes, that's a thing. Emotional trauma, yes, we do need to heal. We do need to cope. Moms don't typically take care of themselves first, nor should they per se, but they should take care of themselves. And, the community and the people that are with them and their medical professionals that are with them through this process, they should be looking out for the mom because the mom's only going to look out for the babies. And yes, you need to heal from that shit, but often we do not. So I created this program to help moms, no matter what, even if you had your babies a decade ago, get back in there, change your core, heal from the inside out, and then build from there. Yeah. So that was one of those moments, and there's lots of them where it's just like, God, I need to get off Instagram. But Instagram, back when I had babies, was definitely a way for me to practice, socialize, have my yoga community, learn things constantly I'd never seen before, and I could do it all on my mat while my babies were next to me playing or napping or whatever. So it really was this amazing thing I had access to. And maybe being alone with my children, maybe it would have been harder if I didn't have this way to stay physical, way to stay mentally and emotionally at peace, or have learned coping mechanisms, a way to have a community through this little portal. So I did 100% build my business on the back of Instagram, but I also did so many positive things. It opened so many positive doors, and it gave me this access to health and wellness at every level so that I could stay with my children and take care of them 24/7. So then we moved. When my daughter was about a year old and my son was 3, we moved from Maui to Washington State. That was a tough transition for me. I think I'm still transitioning, but I'm mostly over the fact that we moved. I'm from Washington State. And so when I moved to Maui, I fell deeply in love with it. I healed a lot of scars, and I love the sunshine, and I'm such an island girl. But I'm also a mountain girl, and that's kind of in my veins and in my bones. I'm built upon that. When we moved, Instagram and yoga once again became something I could find my community in. So I reached this point of exponential growth on Instagram via that whole, from taking challenges to hosting challenges, to here's our next challenge, tag all of the hosts, tag the sponsor, comment below, and then just your reach grows and grows and grows. Or win this photo contest, you win a free pair of leggings, repost it, and you could win. And through a lot of that, my following grew a lot. Sometimes it was somebody that had a bigger following that noticed me and reposted something I posted. That there was a whole sort of era of that when sharing was caring, and it was out of just pure, like, this person's so awesome, look what they did. And it was something that they would just repost something of yours. People don't do that anymore. They're very selective. Like, no, I can only post this much and this often, and it's going to be my thing and not yours. And it's, very curated, and the lighting and blah, blah, blah. So that helped us back in the day. I think this whole, oh my gosh, look at what this person did. Isn't this so cool? And then you get that exposure, it's reposted, blah, 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 and so on. Exponential growth. I have explained to you how once you get a certain amount of popularity on the gram at that point in time, then companies would be sending you stuff and sending you stuff and sending you stuff. I acquired a lot of goods, and it was pretty cool. But then I wanted this. I got approached to rep a specific company. And I was really excited to rep this recycled legging company because I'm just an earth mama. And at that point, I'd call this like my self-righteous era. And so into the environment, how things are done, such a hippie, And so I got really excited about this. She wanted me to fly to LA. I'd get to meet a couple of my Insta yogi friends I'd made and hosted so many challenges with, but I'd never met them in person because this company wanted us all to rep for her and her recycled legging line. So I did it. I went. My ticket was paid for. I had a place to stay, and we were going to do photo shoots wearing this company's product. I brought my baby. I brought my baby with me, and we we did that thing. That was a pretty cool adventure. And I was at the point where these things were really scary. And I definitely was like, well, I can't leave without my child, my baby. I'm still nursing her. Um, and a lot of things said, no, 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 that's too much, or that'll be like social anxiety. But I was in this place in my life where I was like, no, don't say no to these fears. Don't say no to these fears that hold you back from achieving these dreams that you have. That's not a good fear. Don't listen to that one. Another really epic opportunity I had via social media and that Insta yoga celebrity status was a free trip to Spain. And my flight taken care of, my stay taken care of. It also included a free course, so I could just add to my certifications. And then, yeah, just so crazy, the doors that opened. And then you started to see bigger companies getting their hooks and things and really starting to manipulate the process where I thought it was kind of innocent before. Now these bigger companies were coming in and they were just using and abusing the, I guess, influencers. We weren't really called influencers at that time. And their reach was growing and growing and growing, and they would have the most popular hosting their challenges and repping their gear. I never ever repped the particular company that I'm referring to, but I certainly was disappointed in it many times talking to Instagram friends about what they were going through with this company. A lot of times they were silenced. There were lawsuits involved, mistreatment. And that the way that they were forming their sort of reps came off in a very mean girl sort of way. So we'll leave that one at that for now. And I guess that this is what I would call my celebrity era. It was really fun, free stuff and exposure and meeting people and going places, traveling. Now I had started my my own education in this field at this point, and I did most of it with yoga medicine. So that was really fun, and yoga medicine's legit. And I sponsored myself for any of those programs and traveling and courses, and it's really, really. I'd call it the Ivy League of yoga trainings, and definitely the backbone of the teacher that I am today and the courses that I teach today. So I've got nothing but good things to say about Tiffany Cruikshank and yoga medicine. I'll tell you that right now. The self-righteous era. So I did that photo shoot for the company in LA, and I stayed with the owner. She makes recycled leggings, but I realized, because I'm in my self-righteous era, I realized that it's all just a company in LA, that she doesn't even recycle in her own home. And, I cared about that stuff a whole lot at that point. I was like, what? This is ridiculous. I came back from that trip and I was like, I can't believe this. I could do it better. And so I tried, and I built my clothing line. So it began with Wild Movements, and then it moved to, I kind of like was trying to work through my branding and name. It ended up as Wahi Yoga, Washington, Hawaii. Some people call it Wahi. I never was one to correct them. Wahi Yoga. And my purpose with Wahi Yoga was to do everything as eco and ethical and local as possible, from the fiber to the customer. And over, 7 years, I made quite a few of my own patterns and my online store. And it was successful enough to pay for small batch production, which is insanely expensive, but never to get rich. But I was able to kind of grow enough to eventually open my own little boutique in my tiny town. It all crashed to the ground. It all crashed to the ground at great force. Exploded. Shards left everywhere. Oh, the drama. I opened my physical shop in 2020. In 2020, I opened my physical shop. I think we all know what era that was, the COVID era. Everything in my life imploded. I went through a divorce. Was a full-time mom, 2 young babies. I'd homeschooled only. I was a full-time mom. I was trying to run my business. And then I opened the shop and everything crashed and I lost everything. I plummeted to the ground. I was searching for air, trying to get to the water's surface. Ooh, it was rough. It was rough. We're not so far out of that, but definitely out of the thick of it. Didn't know where I was going to live, what I was going to do. All I knew was I was going to have my babies with me at least. And I did my best to kind of scramble and once again survive. And, gosh, it's hard to even talk about. It was so hard in every single way. But, I guess it was probably about 2 years ago that I also let the online shop go. It's really hard and expensive to do everything as right as you possibly can, especially in the fashion industry and battling quick fashion. And it's really expensive, and you have to get the consumer, to understand why that's worth it. And also they have to be able. And a lot of people aren't even financially able if they would like to support what you're doing, but they can't because it's crazy expensive. So I get that. And that's why I had to give it up eventually. But the biggest point here in describing this self-righteous era is that there was a point where I could continue to rep things and rep companies, or I could do my own. And I thought I could do it better myself. So I built my own. And yes, it did crash viciously to the ground, but I don't regret it for a day. And I look back on all the cool stuff I did, and I would always try to incorporate my photographer friends. And I feel like there was reciprocity there. They had helped me and I'd help them. And I would always try to incorporate my friends. So we had a lot of fun together, and I had so much exposure and experience in this world and marketing and business building. And I remember I had to go to battle with my manufacturers in LA, and they tried to take major advantage of me. And I put my foot down. It came down to minutes of, listen, you guys respond and make this right, or I'm suing you. And they eventually, they thought they were going to break me. I'm just one little girl, one little yogi. They thought they could hold out and just break me and not have to fix what they did wrong, which was very wrong. And at the end, finally, they caved and realized I wasn't messing around, that they needed to make this right. They couldn't take advantage of me like that. And so they did. Met my demands, not nearly as well as they should have, but at least they just fixed what they had done wrong. Yeah. So that's kind of, self-righteous era that bleeds into my business era. And this whole time I was also teaching, getting out there on different platforms. Another time where I almost let my fears hold me back was when OhmStars asked me to film for their platform, and they were going to send a film crew to Seattle. It was the real deal, and it was the real deal. I did it. Put me up in Seattle, and I was going to film a bunch of content for their platform, which I did, and it's on there. That was many years ago. I've definitely evolved as a teacher, but it's pretty cool that it's out there still. And I almost said no. I was so scared. I was so scared to do something like that and put myself out there. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I'm so glad every time that my fear said no, that I said, yes, you will. And you will get through this, and you will do it, and you will show up. because I did a lot of cool stuff in that way. So the Instagram celebrity era bled into the self-righteous era, which led to my business era. And in that time, I feel like almost everything that you could dabble in. I built a brand. I made my own eco-ethical clothing line. I did everything as eco and ethical and local as you could from the fiber up. And then I started making my own graphics and also printing on blanks. I had my online store. I had my physical store. Eventually I was like, well, I could just print these things myself. So then I became, better at graphic designing. And then I did printing of apparel. And then I was starting to print for other people's businesses. And I built that online store and I built that physical store. And then I was teaching in every way you could possibly imagine, online and in person, hosting retreats, workshops, free community classes, traveling the world, getting on different platforms online, making physical books and ebooks and recorded content and programs. I was doing everything you could possibly imagine before it all just like plummeted and broke to the ground. And the first thing I lost was the physical shop and my brand, and then my online shop, and then the print shop. And just, everything kind of just went from there. I stopped hosting retreats. I stopped going around and doing workshops. But I really started to develop quality programs that really mattered to me. And at this point, I had taken so many certifications and so many courses as a student. I was really ready to teach. I had taught in so many different ways and so many different avenues. I was also ready to kind of teach in a different way. So now I really wanted to train teachers and teach teachers. And so I watched a lot of the things in my business era that I had built crash and burn. But then I just kept going and developing. And the one thing that stayed no matter what, was teaching. And when I grabbed the name Upside Down Mama, back when those sort of names were still available over a decade ago, I also grabbed the website upsidedownmama.com. And though I built many websites over the years in my business era, wahayoga.com, wildmovements.com, alpineprintingcompany.com. I think I've tried 2 different retreat websites. All of those came and went just like the businesses themselves. But the one that stayed was upsidedownmama.com. And it evolved with me because it is me. And I have changed and I have evolved. And so has this website. And it's the one that I will stick with and continue to let it grow with me. And the other thing that stayed is teaching. Teaching has stayed. It's changed. It's evolved. And the student-teacher relationship of being sometimes a teacher, but always a student, that always remains as well. And the story continues as I go down this teaching tunnel, and from just being the teacher to a class of students to being the teacher that is teaching teachers in the yoga field, but then also becoming a student once again as I pursue my master's in the arts of education and where that road will lead. But mostly to wrap up today's episode, to conclude the crash and burn of many a business venture. And I'm in one of those moments, right? Those pivotal moments of I'd made this very bold choice to exit social media, to walk away. And what will happen? What will happen? And I don't know that it will stay the same because nothing ever does. So I wonder what it's going to look like in the future. On that note, I am done talking your ear off for the day. Please note that from the waist up, I am business. And from the waist down, I am comfortable.